Hi, this is Dennis Myers. In this video, I'm going to show you how to use the Power Walk Forward Optimizer version 5-1. In the next video, part 2, we're going to show you the output of the Power Walk Forward Optimizer. In front of you, you see just a screen. In this video, I'm using a multi-chart 64 instead of TradeStation. I find that multi-chart 64 is about 20 to 30% faster than the 32-bit TradeStation. So for almost all my optimizations, I use multi-charts 64. The first thing you have to do is load first your strategy and second the Power Walk Forward Optimizer. I've already done that, so I'll just go to the format page and go to the signal page. And here you see a number of strategies that I've tested. But in this particular video, we're going to look at the repeated median velocity strategy with Power Walk Forward Optimizer. I generated a working paper using the repeated median velocity strategy and the Power Walk Forward Optimizer. You can find it on my website under papers, and it's on this particular date, which is December 24th. It's the latest paper that I've generated. Nevertheless, first we're going to look at the inputs to the Power Walk Forward Optimizer. As you can see, I have them both off. That's in case I close the this window. It does not. If they were on, they would automatically start running. These are the various inputs to the Power Walk Forward Optimizer. iPrint can either be 0 or 1. If it's 0, then both multi-charts and TradeStation will ignore this strategy and not execute it. This is handy in case later on you don't want to have to remove it. You just want to make sure that TradeStation or multi-charts won't execute it. iPrint equal 1 means that when it's running, it's going to be printing the various optimizer files that we'll show you in part 2. These files are used by the Walk Forward Metric Explorer and the Walk Forward Input Explorer. Days, months is either days or months. When days, months is 0, then when days, months are 0, it only executes days, so that the in-sample period and the out-of-sample period are in days only. For instance, right now, it's set to days. The out-of-sample period is set to 0, which I'll explain later. We'll just make it 7. So that means that I have 30 days in my test period, which is the same as the in-sample period, and 7 days in the out-of-sample period. If days, months was equal to 1, then it would be 30 months in the in-sample period and 7 months in the out-of-sample period. My end date is not used that often, but it's mainly used for if you didn't want to examine all your data and you just wanted to examine from a certain date backwards, you would set my end date to that date. Next variable, stub, is very important because it's used to generate file name, and it's also used so that you can identify what you are executing. In this particular example, you can see I have SPY 5, which means that I'm looking at the S&P 500 SPY data with 5-minute bars. I'm looking at the repeated median velocity, which is a strategy I'll be using, and I have 2 of the strategy inputs. I wanted to make sure that they're in the file name, the OP and the XT, which are basically the opening and when it closes, which I'll explain when we look at the repeated median velocity. Directory is where you're going to print this stuff. Where are the files going to be printed? I usually print my files in the C temp directory, and if everything is okay, I move them to a more permanent directory, my walk forward directory. Session end time isn't used much anymore because most Most tradables trade 24 hours, and so this particular parameter is not used. Saturday yes and Sunday yes are set to a 0. When they're 0, that means that this is only going to examine and print out the Power Walk Forward Optimizer that is the weekdays, Monday through Friday. If you also wanted it to include Sunday, you would put Sunday yes equal to 1. If you wanted to include Saturday and Sunday, then you would put both of those as 1. I usually examine only Monday through Friday, and most futures that are 24-hour futures don't start till Sunday night around 5 p.m. or 6 p.m. So it's up to you what your choice of numbers is. Next, we'll look at the strategy. So I'll click on Format here. On the strategy, it has a number of values. The number of prices that it's looking at, V up, V down. These are barriers that generate the buy-sell, which you can, if you go to my website and you look under the key trading strategies program. This is one of the programs this is one of the strategies in that program. X open. I don't use it anymore. I basically use start time. My start time, 8:45, means that there will be no trades before 8:45. The SPY opens at 8:30. I want to not trade until 8:45 to avoid overnight whipsaws. Usually if there's something happening overnight, the stock will open way up or way down and then come back to pretty close to where it closed. So if you bought or sold on the opening, you could, get whipsawed. So what I usually do is try to avoid the opening whipsaws and put a start time of either 8:45 or 9 o'clock. X time is when I want to close my trade. I don't like to trade overnight. Obviously, SPYs close at 1,500. But if you were looking at, oil, or you were looking at one of the currencies, they do trade overnight. So you could set this and it would close the trade at whatever time you designated, and then it would open it whatever time my start time was. iNorm is a special function, which for the repeated median velocity indicator, I have an appendix at the end, which explains what iNorm and X multiplier is. You can look it up. It's not important for the discussion of the Power Walk Forward Optimizer. There's one thing that needs to be done. You'll notice I have a -5N at the end of the strategy. If I open up the script, you can see, and I go to the end of the script, you can see I've added these 4 lines. Basically, the Power Walk Forward Optimizer needs these 2 value 99 lines. The $51 Power Walk Forward Optimizer 6 is a function. And in this function, basically, what it does is you tell the Power Walk Forward Optimizer what set of inputs you want to see on the files that it generates. If I did not do this, the Power Walk Forward Optimizer has no way of knowing, because it can't really connect to the strategy optimization engine, what set of inputs the strategy optimization input is working on. So this automatically allows it to grab on the first current bar what set of inputs the optimization engine is working on. The second one defines the labels of the inputs that you're looking at, which you'll see in on the output of part 2. It labels the columns, basically what the various inputs of the strategy are. Okay, next, let me go back. Next, the next thing that you do is just turn these things on, turn the status on here, turn the status on here, and then we're going to optimize. So basically, when I click the optimization button, we'll do a regular optimization. And as you can see, in this particular case, I'm going from the number of prices. It is looking back on from 4 to 24 in steps of 1, V up from 0.25 to 3 in steps of 0.25, V down 0.25 to 3 in steps of 0.25. My start time goes from, I want to look at two start times, 8:45 and 9 o'clock. Both multi-charts and TradeStation don't have the ability to say, okay, this is a time. So instead of, putting 15 minutes, I had to put 55. So when you add 55 to 8:45, it comes out 900. And that allows me to just do those two. The close time doesn't really change. And I put in, basically the multiplier, because when you look at past out of sample files and you want to add to them, you want to see what multiplier you use so that you can update them the same. Anyway, there's 6,048 combinations of prices of inputs, and once I click that, it starts its optimization. This is being done on my laptop, which I guess it's an 8th generation i7, and it runs relatively fast. But I usually run my optimizations on my desktop, which has the 8th generation i7 9700K, which runs about twice as fast as this. Actually, not twice as fast. You see that I have a time remaining of 1 hour and 13 minutes. On my desktop, it would probably be about 45 minutes. Nevertheless, I'm not going to make you wait an hour and 17 minutes. I'll come back in part 2, and we'll discuss what the output of this thing looks like. So I'm going to sign off here, and please go to part 2 to see what the rest of the Power Walk Forward Optimizer generates. Thank you.